apologize to you for the technological glitch at the beginning of this, but it's all towards the goal of getting the information out to you with regard to what is in this new law that small businesses can take advantage of. We have more than 700,000 small businesses in the Commonwealth. And I thank Jim Brett for hosting us here today, but also some other of the great leaders like Kareem Hill from New England Business Association and Tim Murray from the Worcester Chamber of Commerce, but so many other leaders who are on right now. So here's our goal. Our goal is to walk through what's in this bill. So Senator Cardin from Maryland and we both serve on the Small Business Committee, and we work very hard to try to construct a piece of legislation that can be of assistance to small businesses so they can make it through this healthcare crisis, which is causing an economic crisis for small businesses. The bill contains three separate programs. The first is a $350 billion program in loan forgiveness grants to small businesses and nonprofits to maintain existing workforce and help pay for other expenses like rent and mortgage and utilities. If you keep your employees on, you can just write off the whole loan as a grant and you don't have to pay back anything. There's a $10 billion program for SBA emergency grants up to $10,000 to provide immediate relief for small business operating costs, and $17 billion for SBA to cover 6 months of payments for the small businesses who are on this call who already have existing SBA loans. So if you need capital to cover the cost of retaining employees, then the Paycheck Protection Program might be right for you. If you need a quick infusion of a smaller amount of cash to cover right now, you might want to look into an emergency economic injury grant. That's the $10 billion program. And if you're looking to ease fears about keeping up with payments on your current or potential SBA loan, the Small Business Debt Relief Program could help you. That's for people who already have SBA loans. And if you need some free quality counseling to help you navigate this uncertain economic time, that help is available through the Small Business Association or through my office. You can call anytime and we will try to help you. So on the call, we have Ben Cardin. Ben is senior senator from Maryland. He's the top Democrat on the Small Business Committee. He was negotiating on a bipartisan basis with Republicans to put together this package. He did a very, very good job. It's through Ben that I was working to make sure that we would frame this in a way that represented kind of the best approaches that would help the small businesses of Massachusetts. I serve on the Small Business Committee with Senator Ben Cardin. So let me introduce you, Senator Ben Cardin, my great friend, and thank you for giving us this time so that the small businesses of Massachusetts can understand what's in this program.
Well, to Senator Markey, first of all, thank you for your extraordinary leadership on behalf of small businesses. We're all in this together. Our first priority is to take care of the public health needs, and the CARE Act provides substantial funds for what we call a Marshall Plan for public health. Best thing we can do for small businesses is to get through this virus as quickly as we can. And in regards to returning our economy, we have to focus on small business. And here's what we've been able to do, and I really thank Senator Markey for the key player in the fact that our committee, Small Business Committee in the United States Senate, has worked in a very bipartisan, nonpartisan manner to help small businesses. So when this package was being put together, small business divisions were in much better position to get into the final package than the other economic parts of the package. That was in large measure due to the work of our committee and the work of Ed Markey. So we're talking about substantial $377 billion of new program relief for small businesses that's available now. We're talking about this program being up and running as early as next week. The $350 billion program that Markey talked about is where you go to one of your financial institutions and apply for a traditional 7A loan Small Business Administration. But here's the difference. We have streamlined dramatically that application process as far as what is necessary for underwriting. It's 100% guaranteed by the federal government. No cost to the borrower. And if you use the money for your payroll, if you maintain your payroll and use it for your payroll and use it for other approved expenses such as rent or utilities, 100% of the loan can be forgiven. 100%. In the meantime, there are no payments under the loan. So it's basically to carry a business for 8 weeks. Will that be long enough? We don't know. But at least that's 8 weeks of help that's available. And it's not only available to traditional small businesses, we've also added 2 new categories, including nonprofits and self-employed individuals are also qualified for this program. The other program that was mentioned is a new grant program under the EIDL program that is given by the SBA. Today, you can apply for a disaster relief loan for the Small Business Administration, and that process is open today. But what the new provisions provide, that underwriting for those programs will get a lot easier, a lot quicker, and that you can get immediate cash up to $10,000. We hope that would be available within 3 days. That's what we put in the statute. Within 3 days, those funds would be available. And that money would not, that's a grant. It never has to be repaid. But it would take off of the loan forgiveness on the first program we talked about. And as Senator Markey said, the third program, for people who have 7A or 504 existing loans under Small Business Administration, or receive one of those loans within the next 6 months, 6 months of your payments can be completely forgiven. That's both interest and principal can be forgiven on a 6-month basis. Now, that's not the end of the program. We also have a retention credit under the Internal Revenue Code that's available for 50% of approved salaries, and there's a special provision for those companies under 100. This program cannot be used if you're using the loan forgiveness program, the first program we mentioned. So there are lots of programs available. We'll try to answer your questions now, but let me just refer you to what Senator Markey said. We have resource partners that can help you. We have the Small Business Development Councils. We have the Women's Business Centers. They have been empowered to develop platforms that can help you marshal through the different programs that are available through different agencies so that you know what is right for you. And this bill was developed by bipartisan. The staff on the Democratic side has put together a guide for business owners for small businesses. It's on the website of the Democrats of the Small Business Committee. It's also on my website. I would encourage you to look at that guide because that can help you sort through some of the questions you might have. With that, I will turn it back to Senator Markey.
Thank you, Ben, very much. And now I would like to go to questions which people may have, and love
you are unmuted.
Oh my goodness!
You are muted.
Again, if someone has a question, please unmute and ask the question.
To unmute, please press *6.
I have a question. Is anyone listening to the question? I have no idea.
Yes.
Okay, so with the $10 million stimulus
You are unmuted.
with the $10 million package the state put out, you can apply for up to $10,000. Can you then in turn still apply for the federal grant loan, and that'll be put towards that?
Did you hear that question, Ben?
Yeah, I heard it. I can answer that question. Some states that move forward with programs, they have different qualification rules. Some for much smaller businesses.
We can't hear the answer.
For businesses.
If you could,
Ben, can you speak up, Ben?
Sure. There are states that have programs. apply help solve this. Some of their eligibility rules are different than the federal. The federal government has to apply for the first programs for small businesses. Many of the state programs are smaller than that. There's nothing in the federal government that prohibits you from using the state program and the federal program. You can use.
Okay, so in other words, I won't disqualify myself from applying for the federal program by trying to get some funds a little bit quicker by going through the state first.
Certainly you won't, as long as you meet the federal qualifications. Remember, these grant dollars have to be used to pay payroll and approved expenses. If you use state money to pay for that, you can't use that money for a loan forgiveness at the federal level. But if you use the money for the loan forgiveness qualifications at the federal level, you get the loan forgiveness even though you participate in the state program.
Right, but if I do participate in the state program to get funds a little bit quicker rather than waiting, is that a loan that has to be paid back, or can that state loan be forgiven?
You can use those funds, but in order to get the maximum amount under the first program, which is in the payroll protection program, you need to spend that money in an 8-week period on payroll, rent, utilities, mortgage payments. So if you're using state money to pay for it, that's not using that one. You can't use state money to pay for those costs and still be able to get it as a forgiveness. But you can't double count.
Can I ask a question?
But it's very possible those funds will be used for earlier payrolls. But the federal program starts when you get your money in the 8 weeks in the loan is given.
Right, but in the meantime, if you does that nullify me from applying for the federal program? So in other words, should I just wait until the federal program starts, or try to get funding a little bit earlier by going through the state program?
No, you might as well do both. You're not going to be disadvantaged by both. But check the state rules. Under the federal government, your participation in the state will not affect your ability to get into this program.
Okay.
The state program is exhausted.
Good. That's right. Because I'm not even sure the state program is a grant, what the federal program is, potentially.
Exactly. Does anyone else have a question? Thank you, sir. That's a great question.
Senators?
I have a question. I have a question.
Okay, please
Can you
identify yourself
prepay?
and ask the question.
Can you prepay rent expense for 2 or 3 months in the 8-week period?
No, the rent has to be for the 8-week period. It's going to be paid within the 8-week period. It's going to be during the 8-week period. It's my understanding. We'll have to wait for the rules to be issued by the Small Business Administration. It's not 100% clear by the way it's written, but it's intent to be an 8-week expense. So prepaying, I believe, would not be permitted, but I have not seen the regulations. They'll be issued, we hope, by the end of the week.
Senators, I have a question for you about how to apply for these loans, because I'm hearing that the SBA's website is not processing loans, and they're actually requesting that people mail in applications. And if somebody doesn't have a bank account with a participating lender, then how do they actually go through the process of applying for any of these loans?
Two different loans here. One is the EIDL loan, which is the emergency loan that's applied for through the Small Business Administration. The website was down last week. It is up as we speak today. So that's you should do online. That's the way to apply for the emergency loans and for the grants that are available. That's through the SBA, and that should be done online, and the website has been operating in the last 48 hours, since last Friday. I think it's been up and running. The 7A program, which is the program for the loan forgiveness, we have made it very easy for banks to participate in this loan. There's no cost to the borrower, 100% guaranteed by the federal government, and an origination fee, particularly for the smaller loans, so the banks are really free as far as the cost and it will not be. They don't have to do underwriting, so it is really an easy loan for a bank to be able to handle quickly. We have made it very easy for banking institutions that are not now 7A writers to get into the 7A program. So we expect that we'll expand dramatically the number of 7A lenders in our community. We've also made a real commitment to underserved communities. So we expect there's going to be a great deal of interest. We've gotten the bankers in contact with us. They're interested in writing as many of these loans as possible. We think in the interest of doing the right thing, they expect to be up and running as quickly as the Small Business Administration can get their regulations out. I heard from Secretary Mnuchin, we're hoping that we can get this done by this Friday so that we can start writing these loans very, very quickly. And as I said, in regards to the grant program by the Small Business Administration,
you just faded out.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I do have a question.
Please.
Hello, am I being heard?
Yes, you are.
Yes, my name is Latria Masters with Merrimack Valley Music and Arts. I started filling out the SBA loan disaster relief application, but I got halted at the page where you're supposed to talk about your previous liabilities and things that were going to be on your credit scores and things that were pertaining to debt that you already owed, but we don't have a past debt. However, we're incurring a new debt due to the situation. But I think it might prevent me from filling that section out. Is there a goal to help people that have a past debt versus a new oncoming debt?
So what we did was change the underwriting rules for the EIDL grants. These are the emergency grants under the SBA, so that the prior requirements on the underwriting need is no longer required. That's new change. Just took effect when the President signed the bill over the weekend. So I don't know if they are up and running as to what is necessary for an EIDL loan. Recognize, of course, there's two things here. An EIDL loan needs to be repaid. It is at low interest, and there's no payments due in the first year, but these are loans that have to be repaid.
Okay, and which ones? You said there are some that don't have to be, but I assume you're referring to specific grants. Can you review those real quick? Hello, are you hearing me still?
Could we ask about seasonal businesses?
Can we also ask about people who are like 1099s or self-employed?
Did we lose them?
I believe that we have lost contact.
It certainly sounds like we lost them.
Yep.
Maybe they can give us an email and send questions to, because this is not working.
Hey, does anybody know about self-employed and
I mean, I know that they are including self-employed people, but they did not elaborate on the topic.
Hello, this is Senator Markey.
Welcome back,
Senator Markey. Thank you again. Ben, are you there, Ben?
I'm with you.
Okay, great. So, does anyone else have a question?
Yes, I have a question about self-employed business owners who are self-employed in 1099.
Please. Please ask your question, sir.
So he was asking about 1099, Senator, in terms of what happens to those that are self-employed, sole proprietor as well. I'm going to add to that in 1099. How people that basically pay themselves when they can. and those that are non-1099, how is this going to assist all of those small businesses that fall in that category? If you could elaborate a little bit more on those small businesses.
And I'll respond.
Yeah, please, Ben.
Sure. For all the programs here, we've added eligibility for the self-employed. They were not eligible before. So it is, self-employed are eligible for this loan forgiveness. They are eligible for the emergency grant. And they also are eligible, by the way, for unemployment insurance. And they're also eligible for I think deferral of payroll is also, there's a provision for the self-employed. It's based upon...
Sir, does that include those that do not have a normal way?
Oops. My understanding is that is based upon the tax returns, and it's calculated in that manner. So it's based upon what they have reported in regards to their self-employment taxes. I think that's how they calculate it, but I know they're eligible.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question?
Yes. Is there an active list for the participating lenders?
Say it again? I didn't hear that.
Is there an active list for the participating lenders?
There's a list today of 7A lenders in Massachusetts, but that's available. We expect that to substantially enlarge because there are tremendous incentives for financial institutions to participate. So yes, that list should be available. I would ask you to talk to your small business development centers or some of your resource partners. That list is available.
Yeah, so that's guide as to how to use these loans, and so that we have something concrete to go by instead of just what we're hearing in the media and in the sports call.
I couldn't quite hear that.
Okay, could you repeat that question again, please?
Yes. Will there be written resources that explain this in more detail so that as a business owner, I'm not just going off of what we're talking about right now, so that I feel real confident about how each loan works and that I don't apply for the wrong loan by accident, and that, you know, things are done properly and that I can refer to some sort of a document to help me guide through that?
Yes, we do have a document available now. It's called the Business Owner's Small Business Guide. It's available on our website, so you can download that. You can get it from my website, Ben Cardin, Senator Ben Cardin.
And we are also going to put it up on Senator Ed Markey's website, so that you can come to our website and get it as well. And that'll be available for you within a couple of hours after we finish this meeting.
It's also available on the Small Business Committee's website, the Democratic Minority Side. I would also just invite you to seek the help of the resource partners. That's what they're getting platforms up that marshal you through the different agency programs. So not just the 3 programs we talked about under the Small Business Administration, but the changes that have been made in the tax code that affect these programs as well, including a retention credit for retaining workers and deferral of payroll taxes. All of those work together, and if you do some, you can't do others. And this guide will tell you how you can get through the different programs. The SBA website will also have information on it, and there's also help through the Small Business Administration, your district office in Massachusetts.
Great. Anyone else have a question?
How do you apply for unemployment?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Most business insurance policies state that business interruption is not covered by virus. Is the Congress or anyone in Washington approaching the insurance companies to overcome that? No?
This issue has come up, and I know that it is there are several provisions in the CARE Act that deal with obligations. This is an area that was not resolved in the CARES Act, but is one in which we think requires additional legislative scrutiny. We are working at the fourth stimulus as we speak today, and this is one of the areas that have been brought to our attention. We expect the insurance industry to do their share, and we think the business interruption, not denying coverage for the coronavirus, is wrong. But there's no legislative answer yet, but it's certainly on our radar screen.
Yeah, it's going to be a very important issue for us to try to deal with, because we're going to need the cooperation of the insurance industry to make sure that people don't get devastated by this. Is there another question?
Yes, I have looking to. Regarding.
Okay, we need one at a time, please.
Yes. If you've already laid off employees, what would you do? Do you bring them back or tell them to cancel the unemployment and then take advantage of this program?
So it's a little bit complicated, so let me walk you through this. Yes, the answer is you want to get the maximum amount of loan forgiveness, then you need to have, you base your loan on the number of workers you had on February 15th, and that can vary if you're a seasonal employer. So when you take your payroll based upon what it was before the layoffs, you can get a loan for 2.5 times that monthly payroll. But then in the next 8 weeks, if you haven't paid the full amount of the payroll because you've laid off workers or furloughed workers, we give you an opportunity, as long as you have the workers returned by, I believe it's the end of June. So if you want to get the maximum amount of loan forgiveness, if you want to get just partial loan forgiveness, then if you don't bring the workers back, you can still get the payroll, the forgiveness for the payroll that you've made during that 8-week period.
Is there a 24-hour hotline and help in filling out the applications, perhaps?
We provided resources to the small business centers and the SBA offices. I don't know how they're planning to use those resources and what they'll stand up, but they certainly have the support from this bill to provide that type of information. Let me make this very clear, and I'll be talking with the administrator tomorrow, with the chairman, Chairman Rubio. This is a nonpartisan issue. We want to get this money out quickly. We know that if you wait a week or two, many, many more small businesses will never return. We also want to keep workers working. Why? For small businesses, it's tough to recompose your workforce once you've laid off workers. So we would like the workers to get a paycheck rather than unemployment insurance. And that's the reason we want to get this money out quick. So that's fully understood by this administration, by the SBA, by the banks. We know we want to get this out very quick. So I'm very confident that we will be doing everything we can to get the information out to people in our community as to how the easiest way to access these programs. Our goal is to keep people employed.
Yeah, so you are right. We're going to be dependent upon the quick construction of a capacity by the SBA, by all the lending to put in place the infrastructure that allows quick answers to be given for everyone who is on this call and everyone across the country. And extra resources have been given to the SBA to be able to do this. And we understand the incredible stress that small businesses are under right now. And so we're going to be staying on these institutions to make sure that they respond quickly to all of the inquiries which you're going to have. Does anyone else have a question?
Yes, one quick question.
have a question.
One quick question. Do I apply for the loan online for the federal loan grant program, or I wait till the banks are online with that and I go to the bank to apply?
You're saying should you apply for both the commercial bank loan for the 7A for the forgiveness and also for the disaster relief? You can do both. You can get both loans. Remember though, you're only going to, the maximum forgiveness will be equal to two and a half times your monthly payroll before the coronavirus. That's your maximum forgiveness. But you can be eligible for both the disaster relief loan and grants and the payroll protection loan forgiveness.
Senator, is there a deadline
one more
to
call,
apply
and
for
then
these
we'll have
loans?
to wrap.
Excuse me, I had one question about
Is there
doing
a
both
deadline
loans.
to apply for these loans, Senators?
Yes.
What was the question?
Is there a deadline? Is there a deadline to apply for these loans?
Yes, the deadline is through June. I think this program, unless it's extended by Congress, terminates in June, at the end of June. Now, the emergency.
Can I ask you a question, Senator?
Check that. I think it might be for the end of the year.
Excuse me, can I ask for clarity?
I keep getting interrupted.
Go ahead. Yeah, please. Question. Yes, sir. Question.
I give up.
With regard to the two different loans, I had read that you could do both as long as you did the economic injury disaster loan first. If the payroll protection plan is not available yet. So what would be considered available for the payroll protection plan? Like when does that money become available? Or at one point would you not be able to do both?
So I think you can apply for both. I have no idea as to when the payroll protection plan will be up and running at its capacity where they'll be issuing checks. The Secretary of Treasury indicated by the end of this week you hope to have the necessary information for banks to write these loans. And I'm sure it's going to take a little bit longer before they actually provide the necessary forms and everything else. It'll probably take a little bit of time before they're up and running on the 7A payroll protection plan. But we do expect it to be in a matter of days, not weeks. We expect this to be up and running soon. The emergency disaster relief loans are up now, so you can make those applications. And we believe grants will be available within a matter of days. So that's under the control of the SBA. So it's a little bit we have more direct control over that than we do on commercial banks.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I had a question. Do you have to go to the bank to apply for the federal loan, or can you do that online when it's up and running?
The 7A loans, that's the Paycheck Protection Plan, is through financial institutions. It's not through the SBA. How you apply for that is up to the bank. So I would expect in these times most banks are doing their work through the internet, not in person. But I don't have the specific information. We hope that the banking community will come up with an expedited way, since there is no risk to the bank at all, 100% guaranteed by the federal government. The underwriting rules have been eased up, and they get a financial fee for processing these loans. So there's a lot of incentives for them to move in this. But it's up to them how they process the loan. It's not adopted SBA.
Hello, sir.
Any other questions? Yeah, please.
Can I ask a question? For compensation over $100,000 for an employee, can you request a loan up to that $100,000 and not over it, or is that employee not eligible at all?
It's up to $100,000, so you can do that employee up to $100,000.
Thank you.
It's just the compensation over $100,000 does not count for it.
Yep. Any other questions?
If we have questions about that are just on call, if we don't pay our employees because they're on call, does that disqualify us from this 7A program?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
If we have employees that are on call that we are not including in our payrolls now that we're continuing, does that disqualify us from the 7A program being grant?
So the 7A program, let me make it clear, it's two parts to it. Part one is a loan, part two is forgiveness. Your loan can be as high as 2.5 times your monthly payroll going back before the coronavirus. You only get loan forgiveness for that part that you pay during an 8-week period for eligible expenses, including payroll. So if you have employees that are on call they were not working before the coronavirus, that doesn't count towards your number. If they were working before the coronavirus, but they're now on call because of the coronavirus, then if you don't bring them back, you're only going to get relief for that part of your payroll that is working.
Hello, I have a small wine store in Foxborough.
Okay, question.
Can I ask a question about hourly workers and how you figure out the payroll for that?
I'm not sure I understand that. If you go back to the pre-COVID-19 payroll, you have workers and how much their pay was for that period of time. That's the base that we use. There's some exceptions to that for seasonal workers, and where it wasn't traditional in February of this year. So there are adjustments to it. But generally, it's what they were earning prior to the coronavirus.
I think we have time for just one more final question. So if someone would like to ask one more question.
Yes, question about... We have 1,300 employees. Do we qualify for any of this aid that's out there?
I need to know more about your business. If you are a restaurant or a hotel, it's possible you could. If you're a franchise business, it's possible. Otherwise, 1,300 workers would not qualify for small business provisions. There are provisions in here for larger businesses, including a retention credit. There are workers who have been, that you've had the furlough, that you can bring back and get a partial credit up to 50% of $10,000. That's available for all size employers. You can defer your payroll taxes. The employer share of the payroll taxes, that's available for all employers. And there's a loan program that's being developed by the Treasury, Department of Treasury, for low interest and no interest loans for certain commercial entities. That's also available. So there are different programs available, but this is a small business program. Small businesses is generally 500 or less. There are some exceptions because of the location numbers for restaurants and hotels and franchises, but generally it's only for those whose workers are characterized by the Small Business Administration as a small business.
So thank you, Ben, and thank you for your incredible leadership on this issue. And again, what I would say to everyone on this call, that I want to be as helpful to your individual business as I can be. And so if you want, you can email my office. You can call my office. We will try to help any of you who want to navigate through this process, but we're also going to try to provide as much public information on my website. You can go to Senator Cardin's website or the Senate Small Business Committee's website in order to get information about how these programs are going to work. And if you need further clarification, you can come back to me, and I will try through my staff to continue to get you the information you're going to need to successfully determine whether or not you qualify, and then successfully, in fact, receive the kind of funding you're going to need under this program. So that it's very important to us. There's 700,000 of you in the state of Massachusetts. You're a very high percentage of our employment and our GDP. So we're going to need you, and we're trying to, again, have a program here. It gets us through like a life raft through the healthcare crisis so that you'll be able to pop up again as this healthcare crisis leaves our lives. So that's really the goal here, and we may have to come back again in the Senate in order to pass another bill if the healthcare crisis continues longer. But for right now, we want to be here for you to try to help you to navigate this program so that you're able to navigate this healthcare crisis. So thank you all so much for getting on, and thank you to Ben Cardin for being just so gracious and knowledgeable in this call. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you all so much, and again, whatever help we can give you, we're looking forward to doing so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.